Hi everyone, my name is Nabila Syed. I'm from ArtsEquator. Today I'm very excited to be joined by a group of lovely artists who have come together to create a film titled The Wandering for SIFA 2020. We have Andy Chia and Natalie Alexandra from the Collective. We have Rizman Putra and Russell Morton and Siew as well. So I'll let them introduce themselves and their roles in this project. Maybe we can start with Siew.
Yeah, so I'm Siew, film director, and I'm the director for this project, co-director with Russell, um, also the writer of this project. Yeah, that's
My name is Russell. I co-directed The Wandering with Sihua and also the cinematographer for this project.
Hi
I'm
everyone.
you go.
Sorry. Hi everyone. I'm Andy. So yeah, I am one of the producers for the project, and also I'm the artistic director for South Collective, where we handle the audio for the film as well. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm one of the musicians from Sa, and yeah, you will hear my guzheng sounds in the film.
Hi, I'm Rizman. I'm the choreographer, but I'd rather not be called a choreographer. I'm the movement coordinator for the film.
Great. It's really interesting because I feel like, yeah, even like the roles and all is something interesting to talk about. And the film is also a dance film. So I wanted to ask the Collective, because I feel that maybe you were involved with the starting point of this project. What was your kind of like initial concept for it? Tell us more about what The Wandering is.
Well, the Wandering actually started from this upcoming album that will be launched on the same day as The Wandering, called Samsara. So that is actually our third album for Sada Collective. So the whole concept came from there. We were thinking initially of how we can potentially take the idea of Samsara and expand that into a film, which is where we roped Russell, Siwa, and Rizman, and the team just got bigger and bigger. Yeah, so I think it was really interesting and really fun because after we completed the album, we passed it on to both Russell and Siwa, and they did a second interpretation of the work and the idea of it, which later became the Wandering itself.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does the samsara actually mean?
Samsara is it's almost like a circle of life. Things that always happen, the cycle of destruction and the idea of things blossoming again. So that the endless cycle that keeps going on and on. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe moving on from that, like because the synopsis says that it's kind of like about a Singaporean family, but there's a sense of like loss and stuff. Maybe Siu Hua and Russell, you could talk about how did you come to kind of like the story of The Wandering?
yeah. So actually, the wondering. Oh, we were thinking about this for a bit, and I think what we started off with was that we had at least the album, right? So the album was already recorded, and we have materials from the album, and in a way, we were trying to respond to that album. So the album of Samsara is definitely the starting point for the conception of the work, and so a lot of how we feel about this film literally sort of came out of that album. Why this film has such a maybe a strong kind of sense of horror in a way is because actually that was what was strongly coming out to us from this album. And I think we also took on the title from the album, which is Samsara. Samsara actually also means a certain kind of wandering. In its original, I think it was Pali, but yeah. So the idea of a certain kind of aimless getting lost in this kind of mortal coil, or this reincarnation, which is at the end of the day the concept, the philosophy of samsara. So I think we took on this idea of a certain kind of aimless wandering, but to set it within within a certain space that was that is maybe activated by a certain kind of haunting. Yeah. And at the end, it is about this family which is falling out of sync with each other. And we also knew from the start that we wanted to bring in movement work, definitely, because again, for us, it was trying to respond to the movement within the album itself of Samsara. So bringing in such ideas as trying to be in sync, I think for us, we were thinking, what already in our if in our daily lives we are kind of falling out of sync, and I'm wondering if this is something that was happening in a lot of COVID situations of people getting stuck with each other at home, and suddenly realizing that we're just strangely falling out of sync with each other, also because maybe our lives have been disrupted and the routines are all haywire. But to find that synchronicity not through endless discussions and talking, but to find a certain movement, to find a synchronicity within that bodily connection, which is in a way that journey of the family in our film. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll bring Russell into this as well, because I do get a sense of, like, I find it super interesting to talk about the work, because I think it's been described as a dance film, and then there's also the sense of it being non-linear or non-verbal. How has that kind of shaped the work that you were doing, Russell?
As in my previous work.
I mean, on this project.
Sorry, can repeat the question again?
Sure. So no worries. So the fact that it's a dance film, non-linear, non-verbal, how did that impact, like, the considerations that you had going into this project or while doing this project? Was it freeing? Was it constraining, for example?
Yeah, actually, initially, the film was going to be some sort of wordless piece, movements piece, very abstracted observation of a family sort of exploring a space. But when we initially pitched the idea, there was something that it didn't sit very well with what we are comfortable as, like, filmmakers, as what we want to do, like telling stories, adding a narrative into the work. So I think, like, in the end, like, Siew and I, like, decided to add some sort of, like, sort of narrative scenes to the work to become more than just abstract wandering movement piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for maybe going back to Andy and Nat, right? How does that fit into and add to the album? Because the album is a starting point, but it seems that this is a kind of a whole other thing.
So I think that's actually really the beauty of this collaboration with this team, because the album is presented as what it is, and the songs and the sounds are presented as what they are, and they were created based on the band's own interpretation of certain issues that actually we did not tell the entire team. So what's happening here really is using Samsara album, the music within, as an art form of itself, to let the team add a different layer to it, and some of those layers, in terms of the textures of meanings, could be similar to what we had intended for. Some of it might be different. So in a way, we don't know, and there's a bit of an uncertainty in there. And I think that's also addressing what the arts can actually bring about. So no matter what the medium, whether it's music, sound, movement, film, there's always this sense of a layer that allows for the audience to interpret on their own. And there's no right or wrong. And I think that really adds to the beauty of how art can actually nourish our lives.
Mm. That's really great. NAC should quote that somewhere.
Yeah, maybe they should.
Yeah, so for Rizman, like what was your entry point into this piece, and how were you inspired by maybe the other kind of like elements of the Wandering?
For me, the most important part was the casting process. We had
Mm.
to really find the right people for the film. And apart from
Mm.
that, I think uh, we had this strategy of creating a dance piece that is like based on gestures. So what I did was I use a song with lyrics in the beginning. So all the kind of like all the cast had to go through this process of finding the movement vocab for their characters. Then after that, everyone kind of like just they came together and we kind of like sync, pretty much like sync but not sync. But at the end of it all, it became such a beautiful piece actually. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so the process was like very interesting because it was pretty much like an experiment. Yeah, but at the end of the day, yeah, everyone just went through it, and yeah, we for me, I think it was a quite a good learning process. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Actually, who are the cast? Because I don't think it's mentioned anywhere. Are they like non-artists or non-performers?
The Oliver Chong is one of them.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who else? Aloysius, the dancer. Uh,
Shouting.
Xiao Jing, who plays the mother, and myself included in one of the scenes. I played. I did a cameo as one of the father's friend. Yeah,
We have Zihao as well.
and Hao. Yeah, so it's a good combination of people who are like willing to like experiment. Yes,
Mm.
yeah.
So they actually play the different members of the family?
Aloysius, and Oliver and
Xiao Qing.
Xiaoqing. Yeah, they're the family. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Um, and you called yourself a movement director just now. I'm just
Yes,
curious why.
because like I don't know, like as a choreographer, I think it's for me it's a bit too loaded because I don't normally choreograph things. I myself, I'm a performer. I move a lot, so I think to to put it, I think I coordinate movement. I use strategies to create the form. Yeah. So
Mm.
I'm not a choreographer. So I just like stunt coordinator. They do stunts. So I kind of like coordinate movements.
Okay. Thanks for that. Rizman and Sa, you guys collaborated for in 2018, right? For a SIFA show. Was that why you wanted to like work together again? Like what was the has there been a conversation about kind of like collaboration in your practice?
Andy has always, invited me whenever SARS is doing stuff. Like, he will call me in to do improvised movement. So I think we've had a long history of collaborations, and like, yeah. So it's always fun to work with SAR, and they all have this kind of like they don't tell you what's happening, so you just jump in and you get drowned and you discover things. So yeah, it's just part and parcel of working with SAR actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're always calling Rizman in because he's always game for almost anything, pretty much. Yeah, so yes, we collaborated on SIFA like 2 years ago. That was a really fun one. It was a different times altogether pre-COVID, and yeah, that was a very nice live show. This time round though, with Rizman coming in, it was really about thinking who we resonated and who the work will resonate best with as well to come in as a movement collaborator, as Rizman puts it. Yeah, so I think Rizman fits the bill best, and I from what I've seen so far, it really works out really really well, and it's really really fun, as always working with Rizman. Yeah.
Mm. So, what about like with Siew and Russell? Is this have you worked with each other before, with as in with Sa?
Okay, the first time we actually worked together was at the substation, for the 18 levels of hell. That was a
When was that?
when was that?
I don't remember. Do you remember, guys?
It was for Halloween, and the substation commissioned like 18 filmmakers to create an anthology um, of the different interpretations of the 18 levels of hell, right? So, and this is also Russell and I have a long history, but this is a project that both Russell and I were on board also. So he was also interpreting one level of hell, and I was doing a film about another level of hell. And then at this point, we decided to do something interesting with this ontology, and basically is to get Sa to come in to score the film live for all the different, for all the 18 levels. And this is also an interesting experiment because we wanted to see if we could get one people to score this, one team or band or collective to score this work, then this more disparate elements, although done 18 by 18 filmmakers, maybe it can create that kind of cohesiveness, right? So that came out of that experiment, that collaboration, and I think it's really sort of the first time all three of us collaborated together. Yeah. And I think that experience was, very enjoyable. It was very, I think we all learned a lot from it. And I think when this project happened, that maybe that's, maybe why they thought about us and said, yeah, wanted to bring us on board. Russell and I, uh, after this project by the substation, we actually continued to work on a few more things, and one of which is also a dance film titled An Invocation to the Earth, which was just about 2 weeks ago was screening at the NTU Center for Contemporary Arts, and is in fact right now still screening at the Thyssen-Bornemisza Museum in Madrid. So I think this is our first, Russell and I's first time kind of like collaborating together to create this dance form within film. And again, an amazing experience where we are seeing this as maybe something like a follow-up of what we already achieved. And yeah, Russell, feel free if you want to correct me on anything on this.
I know, right on the dot.
I love the socially distanced group photo. It's like very it marks it as a pandemic era kind of like project, but it also looks cool lah. So that's yeah, so maybe going into the pandemic, right? The idea of this making work in a pandemic, does this collaboration take on a different meaning, color, tone, while making it during this time?
Well, I think definitely this work itself has taken on quite a different idea from what I had initially wanted. Um, it was meant to from the album itself, it wasn't meant to be a film yet at that point in time. We wanted to actually launch it first before we actually thought about going it further. But at the same time, in a way, with the pandemic happening and with the themes that actually resonated, with the album itself. We figured, like, what better way to immortalize this, than with a film. And definitely, with a team like this, I believe it will be a very interesting work itself, to bring out during such times. Yeah.
I don't know whether Rizman, you want to add on to like how was it working on the project during this time?
Uh, the process was, I think I work with the cast remotely. I work closely with Siew, and we work remotely. So it was pretty much a very, it's kind of like, you work, we didn't get the chance to work with everyone together. So like I think it was more of having a strategy on how to piece things together, and it kind of like worked for this project. So like everyone kind of like were like really on their toes, like they are not sure of what's going to happen when we get to the set. So I think that's the most beautiful thing. You don't know what's going to happen, and like when it happens, it's like, yeah, that's it. That's the beauty of it all. Yeah.
Can anyone give me a sense of like where are we now in the process of making the work? Yeah.
We're still currently doing the post-production for it. It's looking good. It's it's and we're just putting the final touches um for the fourth character. Well, I would say fifth if you consider, I consider like our location like a fourth character, but then there's the fifth character without revealing too much. So we are we're almost there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the filming was all done, like was there any like restrictions and regulations? I mean, I can see you all wearing masks in this photo. How was the filming done? Or like what kind of regulations were you all affected by?
Um, actually, like I mentioned about this, the fourth character in the film, the location itself, this abandoned school, um, we it our because we were looking at locations during this sort of like phase 2 period, and the locations we're looking at were like abandoned schools, and it was extremely difficult to get SLA to confirm a location with us because they're holding locations on standby for in case they need to do any like quarantine things. So
Oh.
so like abandoned spaces is one of those like spaces that they want to keep on their back pocket. So actually we went to like four or five locations, and like when we found one that we liked earlier on, they came back to us and said, no, we can't do it. So we only got this last location at the very last minute. And it was the only location left and only one that actually would suit our story. And coincidentally also had the best setting. I can't imagine like this film being in any other space except other than the space that we finally got. So yeah, it's just sheer luck that we got it. Yeah.
I might also talk a little bit about how I think talking about this COVID period creations, I think we're all responding to things. I mean, not just us, but I see a lot of artists responding to things basically what we could consume, which was online, and it was also very I mean, basically everyone was quite contained at home, I guess. And I think that is also really why this kind of like, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, and all these kind of dance videos start to pop out. You realize? I mean, not that there wasn't before, but I think that there was a lot of response to moving one's body within this during this period where everybody feels quite trapped, right? Everybody was feeling a certain kind of impossibility. And I just felt like, you can maybe write, 10 papers about this stuff, but it doesn't beat just dancing on the dance floor. You know what I mean? So I think this very bodily reaction to a feeling of being trapped really was something that we were all in our small and big ways reacting to in this time. And I think that's also really why this work really start to tend towards something that's a lot more movement based and about trying to, like I mentioned before, finding synchronicities between people, but through a very movement based dance work. Yeah. In a way, it is a response to this kind of COVID times.
Thank you so much for that. I would like to maybe just invite anyone who wants to respond to like why you think someone, I mean, maybe to add on, right, to what Siew has said, like why should someone watch The Wandering?
Well, if I may, I think for those who may be familiar with SAS music or our performances in the past, I think this is really a refreshing take on our music because we've not done a film and a dance film for that matter with our music, and we have not had a collaboration whereby we had a filmmaker interpret our music and then to make it into a film. So I think that's definitely one of the attractive or significant reasons why one should actually watch The Wandering.
Awesome. Anyone else wants to add? Yeah. I guess, yeah. So with that, I guess thank you so much, Siew, Rizman, Andy, Nat, Russell, for joining us and telling us more about The Wandering. And I hope everyone watches it. I mean, it's free, right? Yeah, it's gonna be free with registration, I believe. So there's no reason not to. And I believe, and I feel like you, in a way, like I've been wondering about, wondering, I've been wondering about like dance film and like why that has like resonance. And I feel like what Siew offered was actually quite beautiful in thinking about the significance of the work during this time. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.